You can never have an industry moving forward, even with tourism and hospitality, without looking at the public partnerships, the private partnerships, but also academia. Those three form the DNA that moves society forward. But right now, we're going to speak about the government initiatives, that's the public sector, and how they are now creating initiatives and opportunities for the hospitality sector. Now, our moderator for this conversation is somebody I'm growing to love very much. I'll call him my doctor in the media industry. Please help me welcome to stage none other than Peter Greenberg.
Thank you, I think she should come with me everywhere. Thank you for that, by the way. As you just heard, the session today is about government initiatives to support the hospitality industry, and our distinguished guests are here to join me today on the panel. First of all, please welcome back to the stage the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Shifeta. Please, if you could join me, sir. And from Nigeria, the Minister of Tourism, Lola Ade-John. Well, good morning again, and nice to see everybody. You know, one of the things that we heard this morning in the presentation is something that I think should make everybody happy, and that is tourism has rebounded, travel has rebounded in ways that most people didn't anticipate, or if they did, they didn't anticipate it would rebound this quickly or this strongly, and that it's been sustained, and that demand is continuing, and in some cases, better than even the supply. But it falls on the government first, in many cases, to make an opportunity happen to be attractive for investment. You're in a highly competitive world, 54 separate countries here, 2 of which are represented on the stage. And one of the issues that we talked about, you know, we deal with the economy, we deal with financing, we deal with the attractiveness of the investment based on the stability of the government, on the workforce, the training, staffing, the ability of people to repatriate their currency and their profits. And so let's start with, Mr. Minister, if I could with you. I mean, Namibia benefits from the fact that you have a very stable government. Your economy is very strong. You have a workforce that, as we've all, and I complimented you earlier today, that, and I think Paul did as well, that is amazing, that is exportable if you care to do that, that is welcoming, it defines the word hospitality. So you have all of those things going for you. But how do you become competitive or stay competitive in making the actual investment picture attractive for people to come in and build here and open here and train here in Namibia?
Thank you very much. Namibia is known to be a country and a nation that is warm hospitality. Our culture to welcome a person that you call a stranger, we don't call them stranger, it's a visitor that you welcome, and that hospitality is rooted in our culture, that even if you have not enough food at home, and somebody just pitch up, a stranger that you don't know, so people in a household will then abandon their food to give to the stranger. And that hospitality is now embedded in the blood, the DNA of many Namibians, that you welcome a person who comes from far. And that investment in Namibia, now coming to the government, government has created a conducive environment for investment. your investment is secured, your investment is treated as investment that has to be protected by the law and also policies we from the government. So there's no fear whatsoever when you come and invest in Namibia. So you have a conducive ecosystem that protects your investment and welcome any visitor comes to Namibia, because then your investment is futile if you have investment, but the environment is not conducive to welcome visitors, your clients that are coming to have services, to get services from your establishment. So, and that's what we have been doing in Namibia. Yeah, right now, for us, tourism, travel, and the hospitality sector is very, very vital to us, because we have felt it, especially during the devastating pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, that we have a reduction in employment, retrenchment, and also we have a serious reduction contribution to the GDP, because this sector contributes much to the GDP, and it's the second largest employment institution or sector in the country. So we look at tourism, travel, and the hospitality industry is a very important sector in our economy.
Well, now that we've established that, how do you make it attractive for an investment? Meaning, what policies has the government done in the last, let's say, 5 years, or what policies have you changed to make it easier for someone to come in and invest in Namibia?
First, what we try to do right now, we have also, especially for our travelers, visitors when they come to Namibia, we now have improved, especially in the visa, it's online visa. You can do that wherever you are, and you get your visa at arrival in Namibia. So wherever you are, you can get that. We have also tried to put some policies that are more making things faster, especially when it comes to your registration of your company. So we try to make sure that it's more faster and there are no hiccups when you come to register your company in Namibia. And when you have your establishment here, you have your permanent residence, because you have a registered entity, legal entity in Namibia. So you're welcome to stay in Namibia and look after your business.
And of course, there are 58 countries right now that are offering digital nomad visas as well. You did that as well. A digital nomad visa, meaning someone could come and work here remotely.
Yes, that is, and it's also faster to get a working visa, and there's no hiccups in Namibia when it comes to that. So
now, when we speak about visas, I was speaking, Madam Minister, to one of the wealthiest individuals in Africa who happens to reside in Nigeria, and his complaint to me was, I have to carry 45 visas to be able to travel within Africa. We talked about connectivity is a big part of our conversation here. As it could be even a barrier to entry. Why don't you explain to everybody how you got here? How did you travel to Namibia?
I left Lagos and, I left Abuja and flew to Lagos to catch the Ethiopian Airlines. It took me 5 hours from Lagos to Addis Ababa, spent the night for about 6 hours, and then flew another 6 hours to Namibia. That was because we didn't want to come on Sunday on South African Airlines. But the point is that connectivity is an issue within Africa itself, and also within Nigeria, not just Africa, but also in Nigeria. it's easier sometimes to go to Europe, catch a flight, and come into Africa. And I had discussions with the aviation minister in our country that we really need to start working on connectivity in Nigeria, because it impacts my industry, and it's extremely painful. It affects the numbers of people that come in. Right now, we're not doing too well on the tourism side. We have a lot of visitors coming to see family, people in diaspora, but not real tourists. So we need to do better than that.
Well, the issue's the word of reciprocity. You say it's easier to go to Europe. Not really. You don't have a choice in many cases in order to double back to get to where you need to go.
Yes, a lot of Nigerians do carry other passports, so it's easy for them to move up and down the place. But in terms of issuing visas in the country itself, we still have problems with issuing visas to foreigners because of reciprocity. I don't agree with that, because I believe that in tourism we should welcome everybody who wants to come. But then, even the president brought it up, as well as the vice president in Nigeria, that we need to do something about visas. The interior minister says, with visas it's 48 hours online, you can get the visa, but that's a fight, it's a battle, and I'm very passionate about that.
Of course, some countries like Kenya just redid their visa program, which was a big step forward for them.
Yeah, and they offered Ghanaians, for instance, entry-free visa, and Nigerians were nowhere. We don't have free visas anywhere, except within West Africa. So those are things that we need to really work out with our Foreign Affairs Ministry and also the immigration. The ease of doing business is very important for us, not just in tourism, but also in our industry and trade ministries, yes.
Of course, the big problem, not just in Africa, but globally, is usually the tourism minister is not talking to the transport minister, and the transport minister is not talking to the finance minister, and yet it's a holistic approach you have to have so that people can actually get to the point where you need to be.
Yeah.
Are you talking to the transport minister?
Yes, I think the connectivity has been a challenge. Of course, Namibia, which is in this side of southwest of Africa. Then you have Johannesburg, Windhoek is here, Johannesburg. You have more connectivity towards Johannesburg, and people sometimes go by Johannesburg. But things that we are trying to do as well, especially within Southern Africa, we have liberalized visa issues here. Every almost country in Southern Africa, there's a free visa entry. And we're also trying to come up with some other things. And that has been worked out already by our two heads of state. Right now, if I go to Botswana, I don't need a passport. I go with my identity document. And the person from Botswana doesn't need a passport. So you just travel with your ID as if you are in your country. We are trying to replicate that with the rest of other countries as well. We are working on that, Zambia, Angola, and others, and Zimbabwe, because we have what we call Kabango Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area. It's a largest transfrontier conservation area in the whole world, and connecting 5 countries. And now we are working on a Univisa. We are piloting that Univisa.
Sort of like a Schengen visa.
Yeah. Yes, exactly the same. We are piloting that between Zambia and Zimbabwe. So when you get there, you just go free. So we are now going to work out, and we have a head of state summit recently, just a month ago, that I have decided to accelerate that, so that all these 5 countries, when you come from wherever you come from, you just land, you go anywhere. If there is any embassy of these 5 countries, you get your visa. Where you land, you go as if you are in that country, and you travel within those 5 countries.
So that's the visa issue, but then you can't look at it one-dimensionally. There's also, and then short-haul travel within countries can be solved that way. But now let's talk about long-haul and airlift, because connectivity is airlift as well. And what are we doing now? And I ask you as representatives of all the countries here in Africa, what are you doing about open skies? What are you doing about moving that forward? You just had the Aviadev meeting here last week. I'm sure that was discussed many times over, but let's do it again, because someone has to move forward to make that happen so that you don't have to overnight and go over land and wait and break up the trip. I mean, we're not just talking short haul, we're also talking long haul. Because today we have aircraft and technology that allows for nonstop long haul travel just about anywhere in the globe. Right? We have the longest flight in the world right now that's nonstop is Singapore to New York. It's 20 hours. So the planes can go. The question is, where are they going to go? Madam Minister.
Yeah, we unfortunately, I wasn't aware of the aviation conference last week. And I'm sure that Nigeria wasn't represented. But the Minister of Aviation, we had discussions on Friday, and we talked about open skies and connectivity. And he's planning to have a conference for Africa, pertaining to connectivity abroad. I went to Korea. They want to have Korea and Indonesia. They want to have stronger relations with Nigeria, but it's so far. It's so far. I don't even see how it's going to happen, except if we solve the issue of connectivity and also simpler visa issues. So it is something that we are planning to do, and I'm sure that in the first quarter of next year, we should be having that conference for the whole of Africa itself, what we're going to do about connectivity.
I mean, of course, it's indirect barrier to entry. You can't invest in hotels and build new rooms if people can't get there.
Well, yes, it's another story, but we need to take it in stages, in that our president is very passionate about tourism itself and believes that tourism should be the #1 revenue generator for the country. And he has opened up the whole of the coast, we call it the coastal area, which starts from Lagos all the way to the borders of Cameroon. I mean, there's beautiful coastline there, and we want to encourage more hotels and resorts, and encourage the leisure industry. Nigeria is very good at the business tourism, but not very good in the leisure tourism. So that is what we also want to look at. When it comes to conservation and tourism, Nollywood, the music industry, and we're very good at that, but we're not too good at the leisure industry. And so we're beginning to look for, we have some investors already for about 400 of our tourism sites across the country, north, south, east, west. The only thing we don't have is snow. But we have the desert, we have the mangrove, we have water, we have the bush, we have everything. We just don't have snow. And we believe that we can compete with many, many countries. In fact, even Kenya that, has, boasts about Kenya and I think Uganda, about the Big Five. We have Yankari Game Reserve and what have you. We have everything. And so we're working on getting investors to, not just for the government, but also the private sector industries to help to renovate and to resuscitate those industries.
So you're not making an announcement today of a new ski resort in Lagos? Okay. Just want to make sure we're on top of that. But one of the initiatives that government can do with the private sector is in training and in education to build a workforce that can supply investment in terms of hotels.
Yeah.
What are the governments of Namibia and Nigeria doing to work with the private sector, or maybe doing it on your own, to start training and schools for an amazing workforce that you both have?
Yeah. So in Nigeria, we have an agency called NIHOTA, and they are the regulators for training of personnel in the hospitality industry. We're also working with the Ministry of Education, and so that history for local tour operators is becoming mandatory in schools. And for the hospitality industry, we want to ensure that tourism itself is a subject that is taught in both secondary and tertiary education. We have we're talking to the Millennium Hotels for training to assist in building our training schools for the improvement of the skills in the hospitality industry. And well, this is a thought. We are also talking to the Kenyan government also to assist us in training our people. Yes.
Mr. Minister?
Yes, in Namibia we have an advisory council. That advisory council is composed of public and private sector. And we draw members from there. And this I have gave them tasks to work on, to review the curriculum, especially in hospitality. We have some hospitality schools in Namibia, different of them, many. And now we want to have this curriculum because we look at the service, because when you talk about hospitality, you're talking about caring. You see, it's a place where you care. It's a place where you have to be patient, because you are there to look at people who want to enjoy leisure, to have time off from their areas, wherever they came from. And we are looking at that. So we train our potential employees in the hospitality industry so that they can be up for the job. So,
in one of our workshops yesterday, I got some interesting industry feedback about training, in which people came up and basically mentioned that it gets down to a definition of terms about training. Are you training them for a job, or are you training them for a profession? And we learned a lot during the pandemic in the travel and tourism industry, which I might say would probably admit that they hadn't done a very good job of admitting that this was a profession as opposed to a job. And could you respond to that?
Well, if you know my background, I wasn't in the tourism industry at all. I knew nothing about tourism. I had to develop the knowledge and I wouldn't say the skills, but the knowledge about the industry itself. I came from an IT background, and so I'm one of those people that believe in the training for the profession, the tourism profession, and also training for the job, because we need to put people into those jobs to do the training. And we're not very good at that for now, but we hope to turn the tide very soon.
Yeah, I think it's good when a person enjoys the job, passionate about a job. That passion makes a person to enjoy the profession. If a passion is not there, that person will not enjoy. And we try to make sure that people who get into this, because as I said, it's a caring industry. It's like a nurse, a medical doctor. You need to care for these people. So you need to have somebody who cares. And we want to make sure that people are inclined to be in that job because they want to join that profession, because they understand the concept that you are there to care for your clients. And your clients become your boss. These are your bosses. You are not the boss. And for that, you need to have that passion.
Topic A, around the world these days, which may not apply to you, is over-tourism, right? You're not being over-touristed by leisure travelers in Nigeria. That's certainly not the case here in Namibia, but you both want to grow it. You both want people to invest and build the infrastructure so that more people will come. What's the double-edged sword for you? Meaning, how do you manage that growth and still attract the investment and stay who you are?
People know of Nigerians. We know Nigerians, but we don't know Nigeria. And so one of the things we're doing is spending a lot of money on publicity and marketing to showcase to the world what we have. When it comes to growing the business, yeah, we're doing currently about 4% to GDP, 4% of GDP, and we want to grow that also to about maybe 6% in the next 3 years. As I said, you know, our president is very passionate about tourism, so we don't really have a choice, and he's putting everything in place to make sure that we achieve those numbers. Yes.
Yes, currently we are working on connectivity in Namibia. Well, we are talking to my colleague in transport industry to see how we managed to attract more airlines that time before COVID. But then during COVID, some of them dropped down. So we had a direct or just a kind of stopover, some of the airlines. But then after that, some of them still promise that they're coming, because that is our major impediment when it comes to travel to Namibia right now. And we are doing that. And we're also looking at marketing, especially looking at the new markets in the countries where we have more bigger markets. That's where we are targeting now.
Such as?
Such as China, of course. We look at travelers in China, they are more than 200 million. So we want to get a portion from there. And they look at the Middle East. If you had 1/10
of 1%,
the Middle East, the Middle East. So we want to get more from those bigger markets. Except they are all now, market that we have in Europe, and especially Western Europe. That's where we get more.
For us, we're looking at the diaspora. We have very strong history on the slave trade. And so we have a lot of people in Cuba, in Brazil, in Haiti, and we want to welcome them back to Nigeria. Ghana is doing a very good job on that, and we intend to beat them at their own game. And, the Ghanaians are here, so you're here, and we want to do a better job. And we are using our tourist sites as well as our festivals. We have a lot more festivals in Nigeria than in Ghana, and using that to attract the market. Also in the States, we have a lot of Afro and Black Americans, which we also want to attract, and also the white people. Sorry using those terms, but but the truth is that they don't know Nigeria, but they know Nigerians. Nigerians are known for their intellect, for their hardworking, they're exciting people, they're very friendly, and so we want to attract them to come in, and it's big enough, Nigeria is big enough to accommodate, all travelers, all tourists.
Minister Ade-John, Minister Shifeta, thank you so much for this morning.
Thank you.
Please thank them.
Thank you.